Hello, everyone, and welcome to Middle Age Geeks. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Phil, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Daz. Daz, what's the crack?
Good man. Just back from my daughter's friend's fourth birthday, which is Christ, those things are so awkward. Just a load of parents just doing their very best to try and find every opportunity not to talk to anybody, escaping any small talk. But yeah, back from that, full of sugar, teeth are sore, and I'm looking forward to not watching Man United lose later. So, how about yourself?
Yeah. Same, pretty chill, but no, I'm not. Apart from the whole running around with other parents and kids shit. But yeah, same. It's being chill. I'm just looking forward to watch it this afternoon in misery. As always, the masochism of watching Man United is just, what can you do? For those of you at home, we are mainly a review podcast. We'll start off with a bit of kind of news and stuff we've been getting into at the moment, and then we'll move on then to our movie review. And this week's one is Mickey 17, and Daz is going to take us through that. We'll have a spoiler-free and then a spoilered section, but we'll give you plenty of warning. So on the subject of news, then, Daz, what have you got for us this week? Anything jump out at you?
I guess mainly the Oscars, the Oscar breakdown from the Oscars. I know it's been kind of a week, but yeah, I just thought it was a competent show. Like as you were saying last week, I haven't really been watching it over the last few years. I mean, last year because of Oppenheimer and Cillian Murphy, I watched it. But this time, I was just trying to, wanted Demi Moore to win and maybe Anora to win, and didn't get her Demi win, which was unfortunate. She put on the bravest face she could.
Yeah,
and she looked amazing. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show. I thought like Conan was decent, took a few shots, but it was played it kind of safe. Their whole thing, I just wanted to see how they're going to do it this year with the whole not playing the music, the nominated music to try and bring down the runtime, but then they added in Conan singing a song about time wasting, and then baffling, before we get to the awards thing, the James Bond thing, because my wife was there. She was what's the story?
There's no James Bond movie coming out. Like,
there's no movie coming out. There's no anniversary. Like, it's just basically Amazon just bought the rights. So Bezos just went, here's fucking 5 million quid. Can we do a medley of all good songs, not sung by the fantastic singers that sang them? Just very odd. And then halfway through, it was like, oh, hold on, is this going to be a fucking
like an
change up? Are
announcement?
they going to reveal or announce something? And I thought, like, wouldn't that be an amazing way for the Oscars to go? The way the Game Awards is kind of gone with it, trying to balance it with like it's awards and whatever, but there's also like there's a couple of premieres of trailers or announcements or something, casting announcements or something to jazz it up a bit. But and because of that, it ran over like 40 minutes over or something. Apparently, in America, Hulu had the rights to it, but they only bought a certain allotted time, like 3 hours and 10 minutes. So it just cut off fucking 60 million people. Just cut off for the last half an hour all the best bits. But yeah, it was good. I was delighted for Nora winning. Yeah, shame about to me, but yeah, it was good. Like, some of the speeches are really good. Kieran Culkin's was good. It was a lot of kind of personal speeches. That didn't make it that much about them and just talked like real fucking people, apart from Adrian fucking Brody, who spoke for about 4 hours. And I don't know if you've watched that back, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's the longest. Is it the longest speech
in
ever?
History, yeah. 5.5 minutes. He started talking about, what I've learned from this industry is that, because it's 20 years since he won it for The Pianist. And he's talking about, that like all the success and fame and what it can all go away, and hard times can come, and then I'm so happy to be welcomed back, and just like, I'm pretty sure you're fucking chilling out in your fucking mansion in Malibu, man. I think you're not you're okay.
And you've been starring in shit the whole time as well.
Yeah,
it's not like you've just been in
return. I think you've been in loads of movies, like yeah. And then he, apart from throwing his chewing gum to his wife on the way up, like, he stopped the music and said like, I've been here before. It's not my first rodeo, and he's trying to be all humble and all nice, or whatever, and then just he couldn't hide the fact that he's a self-centered fucking wanker. It makes me not want to watch The Brutalist at all. Apart from not having 3 hours and 40 minutes to waste, it was just strange. It was so. He just made it all about him, and it was, and he didn't even have anything to say. Like, if you're going to have it that long, say something well. Like Sean Baker said more in his 4 fucking speeches, like a brilliant impassioned speech about get back into cinemas,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
that was I was cheering at 3 a.m, going, fuck yeah. He was amazing, and that's such a feat. I think he's the first director to win 4 Oscars for the same movie. Walt
in the one night,
before, but a few shorts or something. But that was That was really good. What were your highlights of it? Did you stay
Oh,
up to
like,
watch it?
no, I didn't. No, usually I would, but as I said, I've kind of fallen out of love a little bit with the
Yeah.
Oscars. Well, I just had watched a lot of the highlights, and yeah, like I would have liked to seen The Substance and win more. Would like to seen Demi win, but like,
Mm.
I think look, Nora's a great movie. And is it? Do you say does she pronounce it Mickey or Mikey? Like, cause her name is Michaela, I would say Mickey, but
Yeah.
it's spelled Mikey. She
Yeah, I
spells
can't remember how they
Mikey.
called it out. I think it's Mickey Madison, yeah?
Yeah, like I would
Mikey
say
Madison?
Mickey, but it's just but she
Yeah.
spells it Mikey, which is sounds
Mm.
like Mikey, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mickey
yeah, I
sounds cooler.
thought yeah, Mickey sounds cool. Anyway, I thought look, she's brilliant in that, and it's a great movie. It's funny, it's shot well, it's fantastic. I guess I just really wanted I really wanted The Substance or two and something to win, but um, no, I'm delighted for Sean Baker. That's some feat like that, like getting
It's
four in
incredible.
the one night for the same movie is
To be,
insane.
yeah, for someone to edit something, produce it, write it, and direct it is to do two of them. Do one of them is hard. Do two of them is fucking astonishing, and to win an Oscar for all four of them is
Yeah.
it's. And he seems like such a nice guy, so humble and so just respectful of the time allotted to him by the
And
Academy.
he wrote the part for her, didn't he? For
Mm.
Mickey Madison,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was nice when he thanked Quentin Tarantino. Said if he
for
hadn't
yeah.
casted her, there would be a Noah Nora.
It was like her death scene, and that is just in once upon a time. It's unbelievable.
But
Yeah, no, like it was good, and I'm like it was good to see the Substance at least did get was it one award? They got an award
yeah,
for
best
yeah
makeup.
makeup and stuff, which of course
Mm.
for that monster. If you see in the movie and you look at the monstrosity and everything at the end, it makes sense. That,
Yeah, absolutely. But like Flo winning best animated was a bit of a shock.
I haven't seen it, so
I'm
I
looking
can't.
forward to
Like I
seeing that,
wanted
actually.
this. Yeah, I wanted this. Obviously, wanted the Wild Robot thing,
Mm.
but I can't. I can't comment on whether Flo deserved to win it or not because I
Yeah.
haven't seen it. So
And probably one of the best speeches and one of the biggest wins. No Other Land winning best documentary, that kind of Palestinian one, which I've seen 30 minutes of it, and fuck me, it's what like it's even the 30 minutes alone. It's not narratively driven. It's just kind of stick a camera here and just go, here we go,
yeah,
we're gonna follow, and it's fucking riveting stuff. But their speech was just so impassioned. That's how you use that time to talk about something important and personal. It's yeah, Adrian, fuck's sake. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, enjoyed it.
cool. And nothing else this week? Just that. Yeah, I'm there doesn't fuck all on my end really. Apart from that, like I mean that and maybe we could talk a little bit the Last of Us.
Oh yeah, Neil
Because
Druckmann.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like in an
yeah,
interview, it
like
was strange
yeah,
the
you
way he
mentioned
said
it.
it.
Yeah. Would you want to take us through that then? Because I think our two bits of news and that were a little bit different. So
Yeah, his what he just said in an interview that obviously with The Last of Us season 2 coming out next month, there's a lot of press around it, and he's been asked many questions, and obviously the question of The Last of Us 3 is coming up a lot, and he said to not hold your breath for The Last of Us 3 on PlayStation. And it was just the way he worded it was a little like that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm writing this and doing this and we'll get to it, have an idea, like, because in 2021 after Last of Us 2 came out, he was all saying, I have the idea ready, like the story ready when we get time. And then that Last of Us multiplayer game was cancelled by Sony.
yeah.
Very I think it was well into production at that time. And yeah, and then it just seemed that maybe this was not of his doing or not his choice to kind of maybe not go for it just now. That rumors say it potentially is being cancelled, which is astonishing. You know what I mean? Makes
Maybe they
no
want to wait.
fucking sense,
Maybe they want to wait and see how the next game, next game does, because it's it's coming up in a whole new IP and stuff. If it doesn't do well, like if it crashes and burns, like we're not giving you fucking money to make not giving you money to make a Last of Us game.
The second game was divisive and all that, but
Yeah.
I think it made half as much money as the first game. But still, I mean, yeah, it's interesting, a polarizing game, but it'll be interesting to see how the TV show does, and will that kind of force people's hands
Yeah.
to kind of go, right, we need more of the story, gaming wise. How about you?
But not much really. I just wanted to say The Last of Us as well, but this time the TV series, because there was casting news. They added a bunch of new actors, and Joe Pantoliano, who both of us really like. We saw him speak in Dublin at one time as well.
Yeah.
He's cast. He's playing Eugene, which is one of the characters from the second
Oh
game
yeah.
that we never actually meet. So he's going to get an episode similar to like we got with Bill from last
Yeah.
season, where and we got Marie Bartlett and Nick Offerman in that incredible episode.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it'll be something similar to that, where it's an episode around him. So it's given us a bit more of that backstory, and it's so great because throughout those games, you're picking up notes and you're hearing different things about different people. There's so many different side things they can do with it because of that, So yeah, I welcome that kind of an episode like that, like a self-contained kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially how they fleshed out the one episode 3 in the first season was just
beautiful television.
More of that. It's just perfectly to take the kind of story and the lore and just expanded it. So yeah, bring it on.
So yeah, that's it. Then so what about we move on then to what we've been playing and watching? I suppose the main one I've been playing has been the last few days with yourself. Yeah, it's been that with yourself, the Split Fiction. Fuck me, it's so much fun, man. Really is.
What an incredible game. I mean, like we played It Takes Two back in, was it 2021? Something like that. Is it 4 years from that game? And this is the follow-up, from Hazelight Studios. And it's just nice to play a co-op only game, which is, for anyone that doesn't know, like you jump on this if you like co-op games, but it follows 2 writers, aspiring writers who are, trapped in a fucking weird bubble and they're having their stories extracted by some evil company. All that story nonsense doesn't really fucking matter. But we play as you were playing as Zoe, who specializes.
No, you were Zoe and I was Mio.
Yeah, who specializes in sci-fi, and I'm Zoe, who specializes in fantasy. And it's a perfect melding of those fantasy and sci-fi scenarios, and the gameplay is just so fantastic. It's so smooth, so inventive. There's like a new game mechanic every 5 minutes, and I don't think I've smiled and laughed as much since the last game, like 4 years ago that we played. It's wild and wonderful. It's just like the amount of times we've just screamed when we got into this sci-fi scenario, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, we got fucking jetpacks, or we got motorbikes, and it's just
the minute Mio goes like, we're cyber ninjas. It's like, oh, fucking cyber ninjas. Put those 2 words together. So,
but it's
it is. It's great. Like it looks amazing, and like I said, we were obviously playing it over online, but you can play it as a couch co-op as well. So if you and your partner want to sit down and play, like it's definitely it's a lot of fun to play. Kind of both you try to figure out exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay, you go over and jump on that, and I'll pull this way, and puzzles all of it's all about it's all about teamwork and the interaction between the 2 characters and the relationship starting to build. Because at the start they're so different, they don't even know each other, and they're completely different people. Yeah. And now they're starting to get into knowing each other a little better, and then it's funny. There was a whole thing with a Monkey King thing we played last night, and it was just fucking brilliant fun.
Yeah, so amazing. And the fact that some of the best moments in this game have been the side missions that are optional, that you can just skip past. But they go, oh, here's the side mission. Do you want a side story? Do you want to tackle that? We're just like, fuck yeah. We end up on fucking neon fucking fuel motorcycles going through a cyber city, and some of the boss battles.
that Galaga kind of style thing, where the side scrolling shooter. There's just it's amazing. It really is such a great game. It'll be up there, nominated for the games of the year, no doubt, by the end of the year.
100%. And I think I think it's like 12 hours long. I think we're just about halfway. So it's another 2 or 3 kind of fucking game sessions. Like, bring it on.
Then switch characters and start again.
Yeah, exactly. But, that's kind of all I've been playing. Watching, I watched the first, I think, 19 minutes of Daredevil last night. But after playing games for like 3 hours, I was just beat and fell asleep. But you have watched
I just watched the first one, I just watched the first one. I'll hopefully watch the second one later on. I just watched the first one. It's class, nice, plenty violent, just what we want. It's interesting to hear. I think when it was first being proposed, or first they did, for the whole story was different. They'd kind of shot it and showed some of it to Kevin Feige, and he was like, "No, it's a lot of bollocks. Like you weren't going to see him in the costume until like episode 4 or 5 or something like that." And it was actually Kevin Feige went, "No, this is crap," and got rid of the writers and got in new writers to change it. Because that's what we want. We want fucking action. That's what you want from your
Yeah.
Daredevil show, superhero shows in general. So I don't want to hear a load of waffle of him just in the courtroom or doing whatever, as his lawyer stuff. Fuck that.
That's mad to think
So
someone thought that was the right way to tackle that character or bring that character
yeah,
back. It's like,
but it's great. Like the part you see in the trailer with just that conversation between the two of them, between Daredevil and Kingpin.
Is that in the first episode?
Yeah, that's in the first episode. Yeah, and it's great. Like because it's obviously he knows his identity and stuff. So the two of them just sitting across from each other having this conversation, and there's almost a mutual respect, if anything, even though obviously they're opposite sides of good and bad, but there is that kind of mutual respect, and it's a really cool scene.
D'Onofrio as Kingpin, it's one of those. It's not lauded as much as it probably should be. How fucking incredible he is in that role. Like he's such a powerful actor anyway. But the fact that he just got that big anyway and just fit that fucking role, and it's he just embodies it completely. He has just such terror in him, in even his kind of quieter moments and milder moments. There's just this fucking rage that he would just smash your head in with a fucking car door. It's just like
Okay, look, that's fuck all apart from that really I've watched. So why don't we get on into the main event then, Daz? I am looking forward to going through this one because this has been on both of our radars for quite a while, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, Daz, whenever you're ready, take us away.
So yeah, Mickey 17, the latest movie by Bong Joon-ho. And I'm just going to call him Bong from now on. It's an adaptation of the 2022 novel Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. And this went into production or was announced even before the book was published. Everything was kind of set in motion, which was very interesting. It's starring Robert Pattinson as Mickey 17. And the movie takes place in 2054. And Robert Pattinson stars as Mickey Barnes, who signs up to be an expendable. And it's the only way to get onto a ship bound for the planet Nilfheim. And expendables are the lowest of the low. Kind of like there's a kind of class structure in here where they're used for experimentation due to the fact that once they die, they're reprinted over and over again, hence the Mickey 17. And Mark Ruffalo plays Kenneth Marshall in another wonderful role as a failed politician who sets up this whole mission to the new colony to set up colony on the new planet and essentially be his own fucking chief leader of the whole fucking nation or whatever. But he along the way Mickey then finds love in Nasha, who's she's fantastic. I don't know what I've seen her in before.
Who
have you seen her before? Nasha, his the love of his life.
Sure, wasn't she in Blink Twice? Yeah.
She's fucking brilliant. Other cast members actually Stephen Young and Tony Colletti.
Tony Collette, and like her and what's his face and Mark Ruffalo playing off each other, as the husband and wife. They're fucking fantastic together. Like it's
such an amazing power couple. They're just it's madness. Like it really is madness. But like the last part of the setup then, which you've probably seen in the trailer, where on this planet, let's say Mickey, he's number 17. He falls into a ravine. He's presumed dead, and he survives and comes back to the base and finds another version of himself, Mickey 18, in his bed with him. And that's kind of your setup that you get from the trailer. It's like, oh, what's going to happen? But for this, we're going to try and keep as much of it spoiler free as possible, and then at the end we'll get into a few spoilers. We'll see how much we can talk about without going into spoilers. It's always quite tricky from movie to movie. But first things first, what were your thoughts then coming out of the movie?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was longer than I thought it was going to be. I didn't check the runtime before I went in, but no, I enjoyed it. I hadn't read the book, so I guess the Mickey 7. So I wasn't entirely sure, exactly what to expect apart from like what I'd seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
But the performances were just fucking fantastic. The effects were great as well. The like some of the like sometimes in some parts of it now I was kind of a bit going, ugh, they could have sped this part up a little bit. This is, but But no, overall I enjoyed it, man. It's a fun experience. Could have done without the creatures on that planet. You know that you see one of them in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm like around fuck with insect looking things, man. It just it just ugh.
Yeah.
It should, whatever it is, it should either it can have 4 or less legs. All right. Apart from that, I don't want to see any more legs than that. I don't want to see any animal with less than 4 legs. Or sorry, more than 4 legs. But yeah, like it's a good movie. I think maybe I was expecting a little bit more from it. Like I think I enjoyed the performances more than I enjoyed, say, the movie. But that's not saying the movie is bad. I just thought Robert Pattinson was amazing because each time Mickey goes through this thing, it's not the exact same. Like his personality is slightly changed as you see. Like at one point they mentioned, oh, Mickey so and so was a bit of a drag, and Mickey was a bit of a tick. You know, they're a little bit different when they print them off, when they clone them, and him playing different versions of himself. It's fantastic. His narration is hilarious. Like and they hit so many great comedic notes.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It really is. It's a fun watch. What about yourself? Because I think you were looking forward to this even more than I was. So.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I echo that completely. Where, like, I really enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was absolutely amazing, and I don't know if that's because I was so overhyped for this movie, where it kind of delivers exactly what the trailer suggests, which I think is great. Like and totally agree with you on the performances. Just really make the movie. Again, that's not saying that the story is bad or the script is bad. It's really good. I do think that it's 2 hours and 17 minutes. And I think there's about 15 minutes there where it just, I don't know where because it's very hard to think about what you could actually take out. You could streamline certain scenes, but everything that's in there makes kind of sense. There's a nice build up to the characters and the story and everything. But it did feel a little bit long in the cinema. Probably more in the middle. It just felt like it just sagged just a little bit, and the trailer kind of sets things up and doesn't. It's kind of like a great trailer in a way that it doesn't really tell you that much about where it's going in the third act, which is great. But sometimes that can fuel your own ideas of where you'd like it to go. And I think we've talked about this before on reviews, where I hate where you see people that review a movie poorly because it's not what they wanted, where that's more of a personal critique rather than a movie critique. And I was in danger of falling into that when I was in the cinema. I was just I wanted a little more of the existential nature of being a copy of a copy, and then like there's a wonderful parts in the movie where when Mickey 17 meets 18, and the fact that they realize that multiples are not allowed, so they're going to be destroyed. So there's this kind of back and forth where Mickey 18 is a different personality. He's a bit more angry, a bit more broody.
Yeah.
And like he wants to kill Mickey 17. But then as their relationship, because they do feel like two different characters, which I thought was fucking fantastic. Like this Robert Pattinson having an absolute blast. It really felt like two
incredibly well done. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. And there are moments where there's talk. It's only like it's maybe for one scene where they kind of talk about what it's like to be a copy of a copy, and he doesn't like dying and stuff like that. And if he dies, that is final for him, because now there's a Mickey 18. It's a different personality that if he dies, he's not going to come back. So, like being a character or being a person who's been reprinted and over again with the same personality downloaded into it. The fact that then there might be some finality and he's kind of suddenly scared to die. I love that. And I was like, oh, I want more of that. I really want more of that but this movie is like Bong, as we like to call him, is just a wild fucking filmmaker. Like no one really makes movies like him in terms of the tone, and like the tone of this just changes all over the place. It's just like the themes change all over the place. It's kind of a wildly quirky sci-fi movie, and then it's kind of existential moments, and it kind of turns into a bit of an action flick at the end, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so at some point you're almost like, it's almost like Galaxy Quest levels of funniness, space kind of stuff, and some parts of it. And like you said, that whole the reason that this they're all in space and that all this happens is that this cloning has been banned on Earth because of all the ethical and every reasons behind it. And so talking like that, I would have lived to see even more of that. That at the start, even when they start talking about the ethical things behind it and why it's banned, and they do a good explanation of it getting banned. The guy who came up with it, and they explain his trial and what reason it got banned. But I would like to see a little bit more of that. For me, I think it slowed down towards the end when there's all the creatures in the snow and stuff around that. That's where that whole stuff could have been put together a lot quicker for me.
Because that's where it's like it kind of slows down. There's a lot of time. It was that last act, and it's they could have told it a little bit quicker, and it's kind of I didn't see it kind of going that way in just in terms of the creatures playing such a prominent role. But yeah, it's more the sum of its parts, I think, in terms of like the performances are just like Mark Ruffalo, like coming off the back of Poor Things, like it's last year. It's just like he's having an absolute blast. And Bong said that this was written way before the character was written way before Trump was back in politics and all this kind of shite, whatever. But Mark Ruffalo didn't get the fucking memo on that one because the satire is just sometimes it comes on pretty thick. But
that's what I was thinking.
Going for that,
well, that's what I was thinking when I was watching it. I was like, oh, is this a piss take on, like, obviously it is. There's so many parallels, but like, I was like, this must be a piss take on. Yeah, it must be a piss take on Trump and stuff. And then I was thinking, well, surely this character is based on the character from the novel. And so if it's based on the character from the novel, then it couldn't be Trump. But the novel only came out in 2022, so it's only a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, I assume it probably is. And I don't know.
He's back in power now, probably, obviously more prominent. And even if you never saw Trump again for the last 4 years or forever, you would straight away, you're looking at Mark Ruffalo and going, pretty sure I know who you're fucking going for.
Like he's just this pompous idiot. Like, and it's the expression on his face the whole time because he has a fake kind of front teeth that stick out a little bit more, and he's just the head is kind of lifted up and just looking down, both figuratively and actually looking down on everybody, and his speeches are so shit. And like his dumbass followers who were cheering on all this crap he's coming out with, and
it's clueless. Like he's just hasn't a fucking breeze. And then like his his wife then having her. I just love those little moments where she's just obsessed with sauce and she wants to cut the tails off fucking the creatures to make some sauce, and it's just that wild thing where you're just going. I love that. I loved how fucking bonkers it is. Like it just really is kind of really like a wild movie, and I'm so shocked. Obviously, after Parasite is after his Oscar win, he got to really pick what movie he was going to do next. But he's a fucking wild director anyway. Like the Host back in, was it 2005, 2006? One of the best creature fucking movies I've ever seen. But again, it's
awesome,
it's wild. It's not hyper realistic, but it's just so kind of off kilter and not so much goofy, but just kind of oddball kind of world and oddball characters at times. But with this, he turns it up to fucking 11 at times. But and we'll touch on the budget here. It's like 120 million.
Dollars
budget, which it's a lot of money to give a movie like this, where I know Robert Pattinson is Batman and everything, and Bong is an Oscar-winning director, but there's not a fucking hope in hell this movie's going to make its money back. I think it only made like 17 or 18 million in the US opening weekend. It's weird because it's not like it's a big budget movie, but it's not a mainstream movie at all. It comes across as like a high budget indie flick at times, with spectacular special effects, which we'll get to. But and it's a shame because this movie will not make enough money, and movies like this should be championed and should be given money to be made. But I just don't think a lot of people, obviously in America, a lot of people are not going to see it, and I don't think it's pushed that much as well, which is a shame.
I don't see it. Apart from being in the cinema and seeing the trailers in the cinema, I hadn't seen it advertised anywhere. It's not like on fucking buses or billboards, and especially and not over here anyway. And like we're talking about 250 to break even. You know, it's not, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I don't think they were planning on making a sequel, so at least there is that. But there also is how much money do you allow a director the next time because of this? Yeah. But I mean, if they keep giving the fucking Wachowskis money, who knows? But like it's you can see the money was well spent. Like on the some of the sets inside the ship are great. It's yeah, they're great, and like the creatures themselves are great. But again, it is really the performances for me that stand out. The performances are great. The sound is fantastic. The sound design in it is great. Yeah, like I guess, yeah, I think like you, I think I had built it up quite a bit from seeing the trailers and just being, oh my God, this looks amazing. Robert Pattinson is just fantastic right now. You know, it's his career after doing movies like fucking whatever, all the Twilight ones that he did, and you know, Harry Potter and Twilight, and then just what you could almost call the second half of his career now. Yeah, it's all just bangers. You know, it's all just like he's just doing. He did obviously Tenet, and he did Batman, The Lighthouse, and you know, he's got just this incredible record of great movies since that, which is great. And he's so much fun to watch on screen. His performances in this, the accent that he puts on is fucking hilarious. It's just, yeah, like it's a lot of fun as a movie, and I can see it doing quite well once it's out of the cinema. Like this seems like it'd be a good cult one that people will get into.
Because reviews are great. I think it's sitting on like 80-something% Rotten Tomatoes, and we can see why people would not like this if you're not into that kind of off-kilter, weird kind of bonkers world that he creates, and the fact that it's throwing so many different tones and kind of genres that sometimes the tone changes mid-scene. And so many, there's a dinner sequence in this. It's just amazing. People just break into song. It's just like fucking yeah. It's amazing. that dinner sequence. What the fuck is happening?
That's some fantastic physical comedy, physical acting from Robert Pattinson in that scene as well. It's fucking brilliant.
It's amazing. But like touching on the cinematography and VFX, like it gets to a point where, like I was marveling, like cinematography is lovely in this, and everything looks great. CGI looks great, but it's just the fact there's two of them in the scene, and the fact that like the movement of the camera is not in any way hindered by what you can do these days. It's so seamless. You just like before, like you know, like Sam Rockwell and Moon, like Duncan Jones's Moon, 2008 or 2009. Even then, that was like, oh, it's great. There's two of them in the scene, one actor playing dual roles. But you can see sometimes where there's constraints on the camera movement, where you know they're on a tripod and they just move it slowly so they can repeat it. But now it's some of the shots just look fucking handheld, and you're just like, how
you completely forget,
yeah. How they composite two of them in is now it's so seamless, it's so fantastic that it's not even like, for me, I'd always be looking at something like that and going, how the fuck did they do that? But wasn't even bothering with this one. You just take it for granted that there's just two of them in the fucking shot, which is absolutely fantastic. But
what did you think of the little? I like there was almost this little side cast because it was the guys who were working in the what's what I'm looking for, kind of research department. The guys who do all the testing, like on Mickey, and get them to do all these different things. I love their little team. I thought Holiday Granger was going to be in it a lot more. You kind of see her at the very start. She's the one who signs them up for the program when they're on Earth. And I thought the movie was going to go a different direction then, you know, because of it. And maybe we'll discuss that more when we get into the spoilered part. But yeah, because I've only watched her recently in a couple of things and thought she was great. But yeah, like it's cinematography wise, I get exactly what you're saying. I forgot completely, taken out of it at times, that it was too different. And not only is that down to the cinematography, it's down to the performances where both of them are on screen. You don't have to have anything on them for me to tell which one is 17, 18. Just from the expression on his face, you're able to go, okay, that's 17 and that's 18. You know, it's everything from the slightly changed tone of voice to his hair sit a little bit differently, the kind of clenched jaw and the angry look that he just manages to keep. You're going to go, it's just great acting, and just, combined with the great cinematography, it's top notch.
And I think in terms of negatives, I don't really have too many negatives. They're mainly personal things where I thought the movie was going or what I wanted from it, but it's not a slight on the movie at all. But the most notable thing when it was announced was the change that the novel's obviously called Mickey 7. This is Mickey 17,
Yeah.
so obviously maybe to add some more sense of depth and history to the character. How many times it's been printed out 17 instead of 7 may add something to the character. But I think all of that is off the page. I don't think you see that the first time you see him in space, and it's in the trailer where he's doing something in space and his hand gets lopped off or whatever, and he's used for, there's a throwaway line where it's like, oh, by the way, actually, you're being exposed to lethal levels of radiation now. We're just, tell me if your skin starts burning. It's just like, it's such nonchalant. Like,
we're going to see how long you can take. Yeah. And then most importantly, we just want to know how long it takes to die. So you can let us know.
They might as well be asking him what he wants for lunch or something. It's just so, he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And that kind of stuff. And then obviously when they land on the planet, you see some of that in the trailer where he's been used to like test the environment and to test for viruses and stuff like that. But I thought the extension of Mickey 7 to Mickey 17 would lead to maybe more scenes or more versions of him dying in different ways or something like that. But again, that's just a personal thing, because it makes sense if you're landing on a planet and you want to try and find a way to exist on that planet in the harsh environment. You need to try out a number of different things on him, and he just keeps dying every time. But that was my only probably one of my only gripes, I guess.
I like, honestly, and this is not just because I hate creepy crawlers, but like I could have done with like the story without them at all. Like there's it's already enough an interesting story there, but the whole multiples of the same person, first of all, the whole thing of that each one getting killed, then the fact that having multiples is outlawed. There's so much you could have done with the story there, like
how they coexist and how there's an odd couple kind of thing going on there. How they do the same job, and
I think
movie, I guess.
I think that I would have preferred to see that. Like I don't know, it's the whole creatures thing that you see in the trailer. The big, like, you would just if you watch the trailer, you would think, oh, it's just one big monster that gets him. That's it. But they do that those things quite a prominent role right the way up to the end, and I think I would have preferred if that wasn't the case, if they did something else with it. But the stuff around them I wasn't totally enamored with. So that was the only bummer. But I assume that must be a central part of the book and story if it's there. But I think I will. Yeah, maybe fans of the book would have been absolutely love it. Maybe they're portrayed exactly as they look. I have no idea. So
I think that's a prominent part in the book as well. That
okay,
which. Yeah, I mean, if it's in the book and he's adapted it, fair play. Yeah, but there's a more existential conversation about the whole thing of being a copy of a copy and then having another copy of you who's different to you, a different version almost, and suddenly that when you're almost immortal, suddenly that you can die. I think it's a lovely moment in the movie when they kind of chat about that, but I would have loved that explored a bit more. But then that would probably be a bit too conventional for Bong, who's just fucking nuts. He loves his creatures and it's still good, but I think it's not their false flat or anything, but it just changes into a slightly different movie than I thought. And that is, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But what would you give it?
Okay. I think 3.5. I don't think I'd go 4 just because I think it went on a little bit too long. I think that there was a more interesting direction it could have taken, because there's so many parts in it, like we've just said, that if you had it drilled in that way went down, I would have thought it would be much more interesting and a more cohesive movie. Like it's great that it jumps between these almost different genres of playing the sci-fi to almost the slapstick comedy kind of side of it, and it's cool to have them in the movie, but it's just there's a little bit too much, I think, of that. Maybe I think getting rid of the creatures, I think, would have been the main thing. Get away from that and just keep it central. But it's just so much going for it performance wise. Some of these movies are just worth it just to see the performance. Sometimes even the movie isn't fantastic. You'll tell people, look, just watch it just to see the performance. It's outstanding. So I think that's I think 3.5 for me is the fair score, like a good 3.5. I think is a score I'd go for. What about you?
Yeah, I think when it first came out, it was a 4, but then now it's 3.75.
Right.
Just because, yeah, it's just the ending. While it just didn't it didn't hit the lofty heights that the movie was kind of on a path to, I think, in terms of just where the story was going. But performance-wise, it's immense. It's fucking brilliant, and it's suitably bonkers. Yeah, no, I really, 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 really liked it. I wanted to absolutely love it, but that wasn't to be. But yeah, Robert Pattinson, fuck me, man, he's just one of the best actors around now.
I'd 100% recommend going to see it, because it is still a lot of fun. It's a great experience. You'll even if you're not mad on the plot of it, you'll enjoy the experiences of it. You'll enjoy how well it's shot. Even if you don't find the story satisfying, the performances are great fun. Stephen Yeun as well. He doesn't play a massive part, but he has a decent sized part in this. Yeah. But he's fantastic. This is a guy who's gone from being in like what first thing I saw him in was what the fuck is it called? Walking Dead. Yeah, to go from Walking Dead to be, winning awards. Did he win for Minari? Did he win an Oscar for that, or was he just nominated?
I think he was just nominated. I don't think he's won. No.
Okay. But like, yeah, he was nominated. Yeah, best actor for Minari. All right. Yeah, but like he's quality actor and has great range, and he's fucking hilarious in this as well. So it's great to see him in this. It's a great cast, great performances. That's enough for me to recommend it, even if you weren't a huge sci-fi fan or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur. A wild and bonkers trip to the movies or on streaming. Check it out. So yeah, let's get into some spoiler chat now. And before we would normally kind of run through the movie and stuff like that, but I think that we're just going to go straight into the stuff we couldn't talk about, which take us through the critters.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the critters, can I just tell you, I wanted to say, so the thing I mentioned in the spoiler-free section, the reason I thought it was going to take a different direction, and I was like, oh God, they're after giving it away straight away, is that it shows him going and meeting Holiday Granger and getting set up for being the being expendable. But then we get a flashback because his parents ever had died in the car crash, wasn't it? Because he'd reached out and pressed the red button. And so, but you get a flashback then to him, his mother from behind, and him being carried. And the mother has the exact same hair color, length, everything from the back as Holiday Granger. Like, it's exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, are they going to do something where she is actually like the original copy? And so, the person he's meeting is a copy, because that's what they say. So you're never going to age again because they print you out at that age. So you're basically always that. And then so I was like, oh, so is that maybe his mother died? They printed out a new one. Her son has been growing up in the meantime, but then it was like, actually, no, because surely he would have recognized his own ma, as well when he grows up. Like,
I bet you they did that, and it was cut out of the movie because, and we probably should have touched on this as well, like the release dates that kept on shifting, and because it's not such a high profile movie like a Marvel movie or something like that, when a release date changes, generally something is happening in the background where they need more edit time, more time for post production.
Yeah.
And it's never like, it's not like video games where they're falling behind and and they need to crunch or whatever. There's an allotted time for the post production of these movies, and it's enough time to get what you need done based on your storyboard. It makes sense. So for this to be kind of shifted, later to April or something like that, means that there was probably a rejig in the edit room. And I'd love, like you saying that, I didn't pick up on that at all, but there are a couple of moments where you go.
But see, it was because it wasn't. But see, it's not just that made me think of, like, she's so tender with him. Like, she's only just met this dude, but when she sees him, because they get, okay, here's a guy who's signed up for Expendables, but which people just don't want to sign up for. Like, who wants to do that? It's a crazy thing, but he just wants to get off the planet. She's so tender with him, and she's getting writing really close to him. Like, it's a proper familial almost, friendship and closeness to them the whole time. Like, she doesn't know this guy at all, but she talks to him like she's caring for him almost. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's really playing into it. That's why, and I was like, oh, that's definitely going to be it. And then it's not it at all. But yeah, I read that's where I thought I was like, oh god, they have to giving it away so early. But no, it was just me, my imagination running away with itself.
Yeah, and the fact as well that the title for this movie, the credit comes up fucking 25 minutes into the movie. Oh, that was brilliant. It's just like, all right, happy fucking days. But yeah, the kind of the way he's treated is like obviously so much like social commentary and is satire is heaped on this movie. But I love that like he signs up for this thing, and you get a sense in the trailer where where she's like, did you read the fine print or whatever? And he's like, yeah, and it's a lovely moment. Like, I should have read the fine print. But he's just doing like 14-hour days, just getting dropped onto the planet, and like then he's just like, oh, take off your helmet. He takes off his helmet, take a deep breath or whatever, and then just cuts to him in a fucking cryo chamber or something, like spitting blood out the window, dumped in an incinerator, and he gets. And like I was saying, I'd love to have seen more variations of how he's been dying or whatever, but it does make sense that he just has to do this over and over again because they need to find a pathogen or fucking antivirus for this planet. But he's just spitting blood out over and over again. But the way he gets printed, I think, is fucking ingenious.
Oh, the going like in and out part is just like an old school printer. It's
like
brilliant.
a fucking old printer from the 80s where the paper gets stuck a little bit and then comes out and gets stuck a little bit. It's just like, that is fucking genius. And at one point, they're not even watching him getting printed out, and he's falling backwards. And fucking, like, oh, quick, pick him up. It's fucking, it's just so good. It's just so hilarious. And I loved that tone throughout. And I just wish I kept that more.
On the thing though, right, for back, so they don't let him. They have the backup, so his backup is kept the whole time in his memories, and so they make sure that there's only ever be a small. They make sure there's a routine to make sure that his memories are backed up each time, so he'll never be missing longer than a few days of memory or whatever. Did they explain why it's an actual brick? Like they have this brick, and this is what they put in a brick, like a memory brick, but it's an actual brick, but just with like fucking sci-fi stuff stuck to it. But like, it's like, why is there a red brick? And like, it's not really explained why.
No,
like.
But I love moments like that, where just like you'd think it would look like a brick, and it's just like, oh, it is an actual brick, and the fact that it's just like, okay,
it was. I don't know. It tickled me as kind of a. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of thing you'd see,
but absolutely. That's the bits where it goes kind of wild, like between that and some of the comedy and the physical comedy. But when you meet Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, just straight away you're just going, wow, this is far wilder than I thought it was, far more hilarious. Like as a couple, I was like, make a spin-off show about them, and it'd be fucking absolutely fantastic. Like Mark Ruffalo is having the time of his fucking life, and must help like his teeth, his slightly prominent teeth, it just changes his whole look. It's just like how pompous and fucking people look more like a fucking dickhead with like this kind of pouty it's unbelievable. The two of them are fantastic, but that scene that we talked about earlier, that like the dinner scene, just breaks into song. Just like, starts with a prayer and then suddenly turns into
and just the uneasiness, fella, because if you're one who's, I'm not sure if she's on the security team, she's like, basically, the whole idea for anybody listening at home is that they win a prize to go, and it means you can have dinner with this with the couple. Is he what do they call him? Is he the governor or the commander, or what do they call him,
or something like that?
Yeah.
Like he's
so anyway, it's to go and so it's basically to go and have dinner with him and his missus, and so he wins, and also this a girl called Kai, who I don't know if she's security or what she is, but she's some agent of that anyway. But it's her look on her face, because she wanted to use this dinner as like a moment to go and speak to him about serious stuff, and they're just fucking, Mickey's fucking puking up blood poison, and they all start singing, and he has holding her hand, and she just looks out of her depth, like, what the fuck is going on? She was great actually for the small part she was in. I haven't seen her in anything before,
but yeah, that was such a highlight scene. It's just so much going on. Like that's the scene where the tone is just shifting every fucking 20 seconds, just going, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, we touch on the critters because where the movie obviously goes, like it's set up at the start. Obviously, like very start, we get that kind of. We start with him when he's fallen into the ravine and presumed dead, and we pick that scene up then later on. And because there's critters or creepers, whatever they're called, are coming out of the wall beside him, and you're just like, right, he's gonna fucking die. But then they save him and they lift him up and save him and help him to the surface. And then when it comes back, you're kind of going, okay, right, they're obviously good. But I'm trying to think of the scene when he has the rock, when Mark Ruffalo is given an address, and his speeches are just to his adored fans or the fucking colony are just so fucking rubbish and pompous. You can he very eloquently makes it very clear why he is an absolute failed politician and a total fucking dork. But like when why is it he's cutting into a rock and the critters
So
emerge
yeah,
from the rock?
that's how Mickey 17 gets back in. So he kind of he sees this thing driving along, he jumps on the back of it, and they're transporting this rock that they went out to find. And the idea is that they cut it in half. It's black diamond on the inside of it or something it is, and they're going to write all the names of the colonists because there's a few hundred of them on the ship. Their names are all going to be put on as like the founders of Niflheim is what they've called the planet. Like so, it's going to be all their names are going to be etched and engraved on this thing that they've completely sliced in half. So it's just perfectly sheer rock. But it turns out that these little fuckers, these creatures that are just like weird bugs, but also kind of the main one looks like almost like a furry mammoth thing as well. They're weird looking fucking yolks. Anyway, they happen to be living inside it. So when they cut it open, they come out. But they're just playful little creatures. They're intelligent and playful and stuff. But he just assumes that they must be monsters, and so yeah, they shoot that poor little bastard to bits.
Yeah, that's when you get kind of a sense that the movie's going to go down that path then, because they've angered the critters. And what did you like? I know we're going to jump it around, but really want to touch on that, just that kind of final act when it kind of goes full action movie when there's one of the critters is one of the little baby critters in the rock is killed by them because they freak out and they blow it to bits, and there's another one there as well. Then you see there's an army of the creepers outside circling around, and you're just going, what the fuck is this? Like, is this a siege? Like, what's going to happen? So when it turns into kind of full on this action scene outside, that's for me not when it lost me, but I kind of went, oh, like it's not that it's fallen flat, but it was just a strange avenue to go down.
Yeah, it didn't really fit with what we'd seen so far. And yeah, like they're all around, but at this point we don't realize how intelligent they are, and they've been, not only have they killed one of them, they've been running tests on the other little one. One has even chopped off its tail and everything, but you realize this is essentially, this is an essentially intelligent being. This is essentially a child. Like, it's not they're intelligent creatures, and so they've been experimenting it and working on a way to communicate with them and all this shit. But it's, like, I get it. Like, I get it. Some people might love that side of it, but I just think that it played too much of a role. And then you're wondering how much of is there going to be a big, huge war between the two of them? I don't know. I just wasn't mad at that whole part of it. I think we could have done without them. But they did look. It did look great. Like, it was all, because it's all set out in the snow and they're running around. There's kind of a snowstorm going on outside, and these creatures are just amassing, and it looks great. Like, but yeah, again, fucking too many legs, man. Too many fucking legs.
Yeah, I like kind of touching on the things that we kind of wanted a bit more of, what, like, to expand on that when they both had that conversation about where Mickey 17 is trying to explain to Mickey 18 that that he's such a different personality now, that he's less like, I do hate dying, and it's been annoying to die or whatever, but it's me again. It's going to be me again. And now that there's you there, it's, when I die, I'll die, and it's going to be Mickey 19, which is going to be your kind of consciousness. And I just thought that scene, it's so acted so well, and you really do feel for it on so many levels, because it's such a fucking high concept idea to try wrap your head around. And
Yeah.
I just really wish there was just more of that, because, you know, their relationship between Mickey 17 and 18, obviously they are at odds when they discover each other. But then Nasha, it's a great scene where she's high on some fucking drug or whatever, and she realizes she has two Mickeys now, and she's like, fucking sweet. You know, and that's fantastic. But like even towards the end, when you get that final scene when Mickey 17, Nasha are running out, you know, to like save the baby, and the one thing they gave away in the trailer was you see Mickey diving with a sword, you know, to die, like in an action fucking shot or whatever. And straight away, you know that's coming. Well, I knew that's coming in this scene, because you see when Mark Ruffalo is going out there in his fucking tank to try blow them up, Mickey 18 eventually is kind of going, right, I'll sacrifice myself, and just jumps over to fight Mark Ruffalo. And I would have loved a moment with them again to discuss, you know, their lives, what's next, or that existential kind of shit they were talking about again before Mickey 18, because Mickey 18 sacrifices himself and blows himself up and kills Mark Ruffalo. Spoiler. But it's kind of, not that it falls flat, it still has kind of a poignant, because they share a look. But it's like, I think there's another scene in there somewhere where they just chat more about that, where they're kind of at odds personality wise, but kind of bonding over that shared being kind of versions of the same human being. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I get that as well. I think as well, on that, and on the kind of the personality change between the two of them. It said there's no way Mickey 17 would have done what Mickey 18 did. You know, with the kind of goes in, he presses him down, and, you know, commits suicide. Mickey 17 he's a little, although he's kind of brave, he's more cowardly, and that's why the thing Mickey 18 doesn't like about him. But they talk about each one has been a bit different. Like, your one had Nasha has been with them the whole time. Yeah. And she's like, oh, this one was a little bit boring. You know, this one was a little bit stupid. But Mickey 17 seems exactly the same as Mickey 1, as in Mickey the original. Like that's kind of played as if almost the same one. So there's not that much of a personality change between the original Mickey we see and the one we've got to now. Yet the very next Mickey 18, is a fucking lunatic. Like, he immediately tries to kill Mickey 17 within 10 seconds of meeting him. Picks up a dumbbell and mills at the back of his head. Like, he tries to kill him straight away. He tries to kill Stephen Yeun. Like, he's a lunatic in comparison. There's such a jump, whereas they're right way up and from the first original guy until 17, there doesn't seem to be much difference at all.
Yeah. You know? I wondered whether that had something to do with the fact that Mickey 18 was printed when there was still a Mickey 17, and whether it was some kind of glitch or something like that. Is that something that could have been explained? Like, you know, multiplicity way back when they're just like, don't do a copy of a copy, and the fourth copy turns out to be a fucking absolute.
Actually, now that you say that, there is one part where they're all gambling or whatever, sitting around the table, and they're printing one off, and one guy accidentally knocks out one of the wires that's gone into the back of Mickey's head, and then he goes and fixes it back in, and they're able to continue with the printing. So I doubt there's something popped up on the screen. So I wonder if maybe that was it. You know, that's just some sort of corruption there or something.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just you're right. It's a drastic change to be like fucking psycho, and his arc is, you know, printed and being a psycho and trying to kill your fellow fucking copy to sacrificing yourself for the greater good. I just think that there's more to discover about their relationship and their personality to warrant that kind of third act, or in place of that third act, the way they go. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think something you touched on as well earlier, Daz, is really interesting, is not just how he's treated by the scientists who they keep sending him out to get the shot, but how you're treated by people in general. Like, you know, it's real just that he's just an expendable. He's not treated as anybody's best pal or anything like that, because he's just there. You know, it's almost a classist kind of system. And even when what's her face, Kai finds out there's two of them. So Nasha has, you know, she's both of them, and then Kai walks in, because there's almost a moment where Mickey 17 and Kai kiss, And he stops it and goes, no, I have to go, man. It could like a meteorite to fucking pull me away, man. She's gorgeous. Anyway, but there's a part where both of them are like, she's like, look, there's two of them. Why can't I'll have one and you can have the other one.
Yeah,
they just it's completely normal and accepted that they're just almost like property. Once you sign that contract, you were, as you said, expendable.
Yeah,
and there's like
there's
a whole commentary on that. Yeah,
in the dinner scene where we're talking about that a physical comedy from Robert Pattinson, when he's at the dinner sequence and like if he starts riling around in pain, and one of the guys comes out when the scientist comes out and says, actually we gave him an experimental painkiller or something like that, and just like, or there's something in the food or something, whatever. And he's in fucking
he
pain,
said the food. Yeah, he was saying the steak that he's
food.
been eating, Dave, is not real steak. Like, it's artificial steak.
They're
that might be what does it. And he goes, so he goes, actually, it turns out we have this fucking painkiller I just happen to have on hand. That's a test. We could just test it out. Why not? Like, just test it out on him. And so they test it because he injects him with it, and of course he's fucking in more pain. Yeah. But just like that, Mark Ruffalo just goes up and pulls out his gun and is going to blow his head off. Like, it's like Edge of Tomorrow, kind of just do the reset. I'll just blow your head off and
kind of
reset.
Like, see you tomorrow kind of thing, and people freaking out and just like not fucking like Toni Collette. And she goes like, no, not now. It's just like, is there a bit of reason and whatever? And she's like, no, not on that fucking rug. That's my favorite rug. And just like people freaking out. Going, what
she pulls the rug out and goes, now shoot him.
Now shoot him.
Whereas, then so there's a whole thing about that, and then the people who do see them as people and humans, your own person. So it's there's a lot more commentary, and I like if we could just touch on this near the start, that part where we find out, why it was outlawed. One of the guys, the inventor of it. It turns out to be a psychopath. Yeah, so they wreck this homeless person. Homeless people are turning up dead, and someone fits his description, but he has an airtight alibi because he's off doing some show. But then it turns out he'd made clones of himself, so he could be in two places at once, and that's great. Yeah.
Like it's just, I guess a movie like this has so many different things mashed into it, and they're all really good in their own right, but sometimes when they're mashed together they don't work, maybe not so much narratively, but more so because it gives you ideas of other things you'd like to see. And it's just it's a personal criticism where like that backstory about the guy who invented it, you just go, that is fucking, imagine that as a fucking loopy crazy detective story or something. It's just so many different angles and different ways this movie could have expanded.
Even the reason they leave the planet, like the reason is because both of them are in debt for the most ridiculous reason ever. That Stephen Yeun reckons that macarons are going to be the new hamburgers, and so they open up a macaron store. They take a loan from a loan shark, and the loan shark's after them, and they're going to get killed, so they have to get off planet, and that's what he signs up to be an expendable. But like that whole, he seemed really interesting because the guy who's there, the loan shark, or the guy that went, he takes pleasure in the killing and torturing of all this. And he seems like an interesting dude, this guy. I was like, I wonder, are we going to see more of him? Nope, he's just at the start of the movie, and that's it. One of his henchmen shows up later on, but that's it. And it's just, like, there's loads of different angles, interesting angles this movie could have taken, but there's only so much time you have. Like.
True. And then obviously, like, when the movie ends and they outlaw the expendable thing, and this is one of my I guess it's a negative because it was just confusing when they're at this kind of procession thing at the end of the movie where he's been celebrated and they're about to detonate the printing or the expendable machine to say it's been outlawed, and he's going to be, he's not Mickey 17, he's going to be Mickey Barnes now.
Barnes, yeah.
And it's lovely. But he has this kind of dream, this kind of trippy dream with Toni Collette, and I was just my notes just like, ask Phil what the fuck this is about. It's like he has a dream where he's back in the printing room, and I thought, right, is there going to be something here about, because she has blood in her, Toni Collette's there and she has blood in her hand, and I thought, is this something to do with the red button with his parents? And it's just like, where are they going with that? And that I was baffled as to what the point of this, because he just wakes up from it and then he's back in present day.
I think he just said something about having dreams or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because we've already know she's dead. They mentioned that she apparently killed herself and slit her wrists, which I thought that's why she showed up with blood on her hands because of her slit wrists. But she's talking about how they're printing out, they're making a printout of Mark Ruffalo. Yeah. She's like, of course we are. We're going to print him out. He's going to be better than before. He's a better man than you. He's a better this, that, and the other. But I don't know. Yeah, what the. It's one of those, wake up from the nightmare kind of things. Oh, that wasn't real. But
know what the point was because we know she's dead. And
exactly.
It's like him realizing, oh no, this is just a dream. Get out of my head, and it's. I just don't think narratively there's nothing that leads up to that as a kind of a yay moment. You're now back to a sentient being, that was very confusing to me. But is there anything else that stuck out?
No, I think that's it. Like it's such a weird movie. You could sit here and just talk about the performances and the difference between the ethical differences and all that kind of stuff, till the cows come home, let alone anything to do with the aliens and all these other avenues it could have taken. There's so much in it and so many different interesting topics and ways they could have gone. But yeah, there's maybe even too much for one movie.
I think so, yeah. It's either you strip it back and make a 2-hour movie and just lose something, maybe lose the aliens plot where it goes in the final act, or you just make a fucking 2-hour 40 movie or a 3-hour epic,
or you make a series. You start it on Earth, you just all talk about it, and it goes on. How you could have them die in different ways and stuff as each series episode goes on or something. But like it's still an enjoyable movie, and I think I definitely watch it again to catch all the stuff that I'm sure I missed while watching it the first time.
Absolutely, he's just a wonderful director with a wonderful cast. And I'd love to know if any of the cast knew what the fuck he was doing half the time. He's wild and wonderful. And I hold out for a 3-hour cut of this movie, which I know is out there somewhere. But yeah, as we said, 3.5 stars, but a strong 3.5 stars. Like 3.5, 4-ish for me because performances, and it's just fucking. It's so much of it is great.
And it's something different.
It kind of doesn't stick the landing too much. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it and definitely go out to see it.
Deadly. Thanks very much for taking us through that one, Daz. Okay, well, look, everybody, thanks as always for tuning in. If you keep doing your liking, subscribing, and telling people about it and all that shit. And if there's anything you'd like to see us review, because we did do that disaster movie last
Highlander,
week. No more Highlander, but we do have gaps sometimes where there's nothing out, there's nothing interesting out. So if there's anything you'd like to hear us review, then feel free to send us an email at middleagegeeks@yahoo.com. But apart from that, we shall see you all in the next one. So take it easy.
Ciao.